Hey, welcome. Let's do this. So what I wanna hey, what I want to talk about today is a project that I've been working on, not as much as I would like to, which is why I'm using Twitch and this live programming and live hacking session to give me an excuse to work on it a bit more. The project is something that maybe you've seen on Twitter. I've been like just tweeting about it so far. I haven't shared a lot more than what you see here, which is essentially a quick example of the project in action. The project is I'm building an artificial nose for smelling and categorizing spirit, right? And so the idea is to use a bunch of gas sensors and an Arduino kind of device. It's actually, it's called the Wio terminal. We're gonna have a quick look at it in just a second. So yeah, gas sensors, Arduino kind of terminal, and then TinyML, which is like essentially TensorFlow, if you will. Well, it's literally TensorFlow running on a microcontroller so that we can actually try and make some guesses once we have trained our nose with some rum, some whiskey, etc., and labeled properly all those different kinds of spirit. We can hope that we can actually detect in the future similar kind of spirit, and that's the idea. What I want to do today. And welcome to folks who joined. If you want to drop a quick message in the chat just to make sure that everything's working fine, that'd be awesome. And what we're going to do today is create an enclosure for this guy, because I mean it just works. Like I have actually some booze. I don't know if Twitch allows that, but I have some booze on my desk, which I typically just like put the sensor straight on top of the I put the sensor straight on top of the bottle, but what I want is an actual nose, right? And I want the device to be maybe battery powered. And so, yeah, I want to make an actual thing. And that's the whole goal of this Twitch session, and hopefully a few additional sessions to tell you essentially what it takes to build your own connected product. And we will see that a few things that we do may feel like they are maybe expensive or costing more money than what they should. But I guess what my point is also to show you that it's actually possible, and that there's lots of options out there, not only for like the actual electronics, but also for all things hardware beyond the electronics, and all things software. What does it take to actually do artificial intelligence and running machine learning models on my very small tiny device? What does it take potentially to connect it to the internet to make like an actual like an artificial nose that can be remotely reconfigured maybe, and that can learn over time and be reconfigured over time? So that's the idea. And that's what we're going to try and do. So if you have any questions about the hardware itself, feel free to drop them in the chat. But just maybe for you guys to have a closer look at it, that's it's actually plugged in right now. And so what it shows me is the values for all the sensors that I have. So we have NO2, we have alcohol, we have volatile organic compounds, and we have CO, the CO2 one. There's also a CO2 sensor, but it's actually not plugged in right now. So I should probably plug it in. And the sensor itself, I don't know if I don't think I've showed it just yet. So that's this guy. It's the it's a device. I mean, both devices are from Seed Studio, and this is the Wio terminal. This is called the Grove multi-channel gas sensor. And to my point just before, not super cheap, but if you were to manufacture, I don't know, 1,000 devices, of course, you would get much cheaper prices. Well, we can actually see that already like just getting, even sticking to this very same form factor, if we were to buy not one, but 50 plus sensors, we would get a significant discount, like what, 20% or something. And if you're building your own product, your own device, maybe you don't even want this particular form factor, you only care about just the sensors, and it will be even cheaper. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We want to do some 3D printing essentially, and designing a nice and fancy enclosure. And again, this is part of the story that I want to share. Like as I build this product, what are the tools that are available out there to build an intelligent device, all the way from, like, again, the software, what you need to put and to run on your tiny microcontroller or CPU, but also what are the tools to actually create and build the product itself. And so for that, we're going to reuse an existing 3D model of a nose that I already bought, which I'm going to pull just now. Give me just a second to find where it is. All right. And that'll also be an opportunity actually to share a few links to some resources, online resources that you may be interested in leveraging if you're also interested in building some stuff at home. So that's the model I bought. I bought it a couple of weeks ago. I started to play with it just a bit, and not as much as I wanted to. Mainly because I wasn't quite sure what tool I would be using to take this model, which is pretty, actually. Like I really like the like, for just $6, you get a pretty qualitative 3D model, and that's pretty much exactly what I want. I want something that I can have on my desk, right? I can just put on my desk and or like put on top of something that needs smelling, and it has, like, the form factor. I find it pretty perfect for my use case. My idea, as you may have guessed, will be that this guy is going to be put and probably like attached with some screws at the back of the head / nose. I'm thinking that I probably want a tiny fan as well to make sure that all the alcohol or whatever are the things that I want to smell make their way into the enclosure. And of course, I want to find a nice, like, ideally I want to hide the sensors like right into the enclosure. So somehow I need to make it so that I can open it to hide my stuff in it. And what else do I need and do I want? I also want to poke some holes, well, like for the nostrils, and make sure that I have that. So it looks like with this 3D model, I'm probably close enough to achieving that. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. And ideally, like, at the end of the day, this is something that I will be 3D printing. I've already done some research, like some of the stuff that I will be doing today. I've already sort of like experimented here and there. I just want to spend the next hour or so making sure that I actually finish the project. And yeah, my goal is, like, what time is it here in France? It's 6:20, almost 6:20. Yeah, in the next hour and a half, we will have essentially printed the model. That's my goal. And so let's get started. For folks in the chat, not a lot, but there's at least one person, I think. Welcome. Feel free to chime in, ask any questions you may have. And we're going to now open up Blender. At the end of the day, that's the tool that I don't find the most easy to use. But that being said, it's super powerful. So the user experience is a bit brutal at times, but yeah, it does pretty much all I need for this project. So let's just open Blender and let's do this. All right. So, and I'm no Blender expert, like not at all, but I think that's actually even more fun for us to go through the exercise together. So that's the latest version of Blender. Blender is an open source tool. It's free. It's super complete, not only for creating like and assembling simple, I would say, 3D geometries and do like almost like just CAD kind of stuff, which is almost what I will be focusing on today. But you can also do sculpting, like if you want to start from just a random sphere, supposedly made of clay, right? And you want to start poking some holes and actually sculpting it. You can do that. You can do animations. You can do super advanced rendering with all the fancy ray tracing and stuff. That's not the point for today. We want to focus on just like general stuff. So that's my default Blender scene. I need to import the nose, right? I probably don't need all those default objects. There is a light, there is a camera. I don't really care because I will not be doing fancy rendering. So the default lighting, the default ambient lighting of the scene is just perfect for me. So we delete this. Now, let's make sure that the scene is using the proper units by default. I think that the default unit is in Blender is 1 equals 1 meter. So that's not good for me. Like I'd rather have my default scale to be in millimeters, and the displayed the way length dimensions are being displayed, I want that to be millimeters as well. And I will make sure that to double check every time I like import maybe some objects, etc. You need to make sure that your units match. Let's save. Like I had this automatism to automatically save. That makes sense. So that's going to be my nose. Save. Now I have the 3D model from what was the name of the site again? From SketchFab. You may also be familiar with Thingiverse. Thingiverse is another one. I didn't find any nose that I was happy with on Thingiverse. Yeah, I could probably do something with this one. Could probably do something with this one. Could probably also, if I were good at with my hands, I could do some sculpting from pretty much from scratch in Blender. But I'm hopeless in that regard. So we have the model that I bought from the website, which I already forget. I forgot the name. Again, I think it's in FBX format. And yeah, that's the one. So let's just import it. Nice. It looks, like I said, it looks good. One thing that I wanted to do before starting the stream is install the tool that would allow to share what are the keys that I'm pressing. I forgot to do that, but I will try and share with you some of the shortcuts that I'm using. So rotating the scene is using the mouse, the middle button of the mouse, which actually means that usually when you're on a laptop, it's not super convenient, although there's options in Blender to sort of emulate the middle button. But yeah, otherwise you just use the middle button. If you press Shift plus middle button, then you end up being able to drag and drop the scene, which is pretty cool. All right, so that's my nose. What is the size? Maybe that's the first thing that I need to check. Like I want to make sure that it fits and it kind of is aligned with like what I'm gonna stick on it. So the thing to see the size is, let me just make the font slightly bigger. I think that won't hurt. Oh, it kind of already is. Yeah, maybe slightly better. All right, that's my nose. And in order to see the dimensions, that will be here, item. Right now, it's meant to be too small. It's definitely too small in my opinion, because let's see, the wire terminal, the thing that I want to use, wait, yeah, we have the dimensions here. So we're looking at 72 millimeters, 57, and then 12 for just the like the thickness of the device. So yeah, we need to make sure that the nose is at least big enough so that we can properly mount the thingy on it. So let's see. So the largest dimension is the height. So we're looking at making Y, and Y needs to be at least 72 millimeters. I feel like I want to have some additional room, and let me actually tell you why. But first, let's make this thing bigger. Let's make sure that we scale in all the dimensions. There's probably many ways to do that, but this one works. So we've proportionally scaled. All right, so that's my nose. Now maybe a good way to see how things will look like in, so let's call this nose right here. And let's actually create a new object. So one thing that I will be using very often is the F3 shortcut. With F3, you have access to virtually all the actions that that are enabled at a given in a given context. So what if I want to create a cube? Awesome, that's exactly what I want. I want to create a cube, which is my Wio terminal. What were the dimensions again? 72, 57, and 12. All right, where is it? It's probably somewhere. Nah, I messed up with. Completely messed up. The location is fine. The size we want a cube that's. Let's start with a cube that's about 70 millimeters. Let's reset the view. There we go. So that's the cube, and we need to change the dimension so that it's now 57 and 12. All right, so that's my Wio terminal. Let's actually call it that way, Wio terminal, or at least like the sort of the mock-up, right, of the Wio terminal. Let's stick it pretty much where it should be, so I can easily, like, if I don't want to mess up with the way I move stuff, I can use like the locked, translate on the locked axis. Same for the rotation. Yeah, so that's exactly my device. Like, make sure that I do a rotation exactly of -20 degrees. And one thing that I start doing is giving some different, like giving different colors to the different objects. The Wio terminal, well, I don't mind it staying white, but the nose, I'm going to change the material and attach a material like super basic, but like just enough so that in this view we do see the color, and that'll help see where things are at. All right. All right. Let's put it like closer to where it should be. All right. There we go. All right. And one thing that I want to check is I want to make sure that I have enough room for the Wio terminal. I want to make sure that I have enough room for the USB. That was, sorry, kitty. Enough room for the cable underneath, right? I'm actually thinking that I will buy a cable with a 90 degrees angle to save some space, but still I want to have enough room. Actually, speaking of cables, I think yesterday I found a free model, free 3D model for a USB-C angled connector. Yes, that's perfect. I want to make it black just to make sure that we have, like I was saying before, different colors for all the different things. All right, let's translate it just a bit. Where are we now? Yeah, one thing that I also should be doing is I have, where is it? Yeah, the shortcuts for rotating, like, so that's using 137, 137, give me like a quick way to, and that's on the numerical pad that allows me to quickly switch from to go left, back, and top, which is yeah, quite convenient. All right, so that's my cable. So that's about this, yeah, the space I need right underneath whatever I do. Like, I want to be able to put and to stick the nose on the table. So so I probably like to be like this. Let's use the shortcut to look at the back. What is it again? Yeah, it's 1 and control 1, 3 and control 3 to be like left, right, and 7 and control 7 to be top and bottom. All right, and this is really quick, which I do love. All right, so looking at the back, that looks good to me. I mean, maybe we need even more room. All right, and the space that I have here, I hope it is enough for a fan. And for the fan, I did some research already. Mouser, I have no particular connections with Mouser, but what I love is that, let's actually switch to English just for the sake of the viewership. I want a DC fan, right? And they have, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of parts, but among their DC fans, I'm actually looking for one that would be like, I'm thinking 20 or 25 millimeters, like as small as I can, and as cheap as I can as well. And 5 volts. If this is 5 volts, that's much better, because I will actually be able to power it straight from the device. All right, let's make sure that like everything that they have in stock and only what they have in stock. And ordering by price. And I think we'll actually stumble upon the one, yeah, that's the one I'm actually intending to buy. So there's a data sheet. So strictly speaking, it's 25 by 25, like the external footprint. So that's how much space I need at the back of my thingy. And is it the one that, I'm not sure now, that's the one that I want to buy. I think it is. Let's make sure. I actually already created a model for this guy. So let's import it. Let's, and it's a Blender model. So let's import, yeah, it's, that's the ref, 02510S. Is this the one? Is this the same? That's not the one. So maybe I want to make sure that's not the one I'm intending to buy. That's 10S. All right, that's the one. But it looks now that they have, or maybe there are 12 volts. All those others, are they? No, they're 5. What do you think? Maybe I should use those. I'm torn. Let's have another look at the data sheet. Yeah, I think the main reason I went for the other one is that. Yeah, okay, I remember now. I went for the other one because if we look at the data sheet, it actually has a clear technical drawing for what the footprint should, like what the footprint will be and what kind of hole I should effectively be poking in my wherever I want to put the fan. So, oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So I already have it, like I said. So let's import it. Let's import the integrity like of the file, and now we end up with, like, let's call this the fan. We'll have to do some translations and stuff, but let's do. So that's the fan. That's let's see what it is. That is the main hole, or main, or something like fan main hole, and fan screw holes. And I don't want to, like, yeah, I want it to be here. Right. All right. What does it need? It needs to be translated, of course, just a bit. Oops. I need to take everything with me. Translate it, rotate it 90 degrees that direction. Right. And that's, yeah, essentially my idea is that just the cube, or like this shape is what I need to have to get a sense of what is going to be the footprint, and the rest is what I'm going to use later on to actually poke holes in the enclosure. So let's see how much space we have given the size of our nose, or whether we will have to make it bigger. I think this looks good enough. Let's see. And the fan, I'm tempted to make this black. That's how fans are usually. All right. What do you think? One thing that I should mention is that I don't want to. Welcome to whoever just joined. We're actually designing a 3D enclosure for fancy device, which is going to be an artificial nose. So we're gonna we have most of the electronics already figured, but now we need a fancy enclosure. So yeah, whoever you are, feel free to drop a message in the chat. And yeah, I think like we're just getting started, so you still have time to catch up. So this is the placeholder for the device. This is the placeholder for the fan. Yeah, I think there's enough room. That sounds good enough to me. And I definitely don't want to make the thing bigger than it needs to, because it's going to be more expensive to print, to 3D print, because there's going to be more material. And yeah, if I can avoid that, that's great. You know what? I think I want to make sure that I have more room maybe for the cable, because you'll never know. And yeah, I think, okay. Now let's focus on the nose. And so maybe we can actually hide this. We can hide the cable and terminal. So the nose itself, how does the geometry look like, and what needs to be done so that it can actually be 3D printed? Let's look at the wireframe view. So we already have the nostrils, the sinus or sinuses, or however you say that in English, but that's probably not enough. Like, first, right now, this is a solid. If I were to print this, yes, there are some holes right in the nostrils, but then everything else, it's actually filled, or will be filled with plastic or whatever material I'm going to use. I don't want that. So I want to prepare the ground to make sure that I actually make this something like a 2 millimeters thick kind of shell, right? And then I want to make sure that I have a shell that's that I can open, so that it actually becomes an actual enclosure. So let's start by, there's way too much, like I want to put maybe I should already import it and show you where I want my sensor to go. So the sensor, I think I have the STL. Yeah. So that's not exactly the 3D model of the sensor that I'm going to use, but that's close enough. Let me check. It's going to be, yeah, I want the sensor to be placed like that way within the nose, and find a way to have it stay that way. So that means, yeah, it will be the equivalent of like this direction. All right, and so yeah, that means that, let me see. I want to make sure that, oops. Right. So the sensor itself will be somewhere right in the middle. We'll have the fan at the back, making sure that we get all the, let's see, maybe that, if I'm going, I'm trying to find, yeah, maybe this way. Yeah, that's pretty much like how I want the thing to look like. I can also add the YHML if you like. So I need to find a way to have the sensor be stuck in position, but I also want to remove some of those huge like sinuses, because yeah, there's too much. So let's do this. I only want to focus on the nose at the moment. Yeah, all right. What I want to do first, yeah, is remove some of the material. So for that, I'm gonna, where am I? I'm confused. Yeah, there we go. I want to select, I want to access the inside of the nose. I first need to make sure it's active. All right. I'm confused. I'm not in the proper mode. So again, I'm no Blender expert, but bear with me for a second. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I want to select all the external faces of the object to eventually hide them. So I'm sure there's lots of ways to do that. I'm so pretty sure that the way I'm doing it has nothing to do with the official way. I don't care. It should get the job done. I'm confused. Yeah, I'm pressing the wrong keys, but that's actually not bad, because at the end of the day, that's getting me closer to having selected everything. I don't think I want to select the inside too much, otherwise it'll get me in trouble and misclicked. There we go. Make sure that I have this part. That should be enough. Like, what I want is selecting all the outside of the device. Welcome to whoever just joined. For viewers, that's the top we had so far. Please engage in the chat. Like, I'm having fun by myself, but I want to make sure that you all catch up on what's going on. We are designing an enclosure for a nose, and like an artificial nose with like lots of electronics powering it and some gas sensors and so on. And so right now we are preparing the enclosure, taking the model of the nose that we have and making it an actual shell that we can hollow out. And so yeah, let's see. I think I've selected everything. So I'm gonna hit, yeah, I need to select more here. Again, I'm sure there's better techniques. If you're a Blender expert and if you're in the chat, please chime in. But yeah, let's hit H. H as in hide. So we are hiding all the outside so that we can focus on the inside. And like I was saying, there's too much. I'm gonna have my sensor somewhere right here, right in the middle of the nose. So I need to make some space for it, right? So what I'm gonna do is select everything and F3. That's a shortcut I mentioned before, giving you access to all the tools available in Blender. And that's actually a good way also to learn. Like you can just make a guess. Is this possible to like cut the thing in half? Well, maybe I cheated because I knew that it was called bisect. But yeah, let's bisect. I want to make sure that I leave just enough for the gases to make their way to the sensor, but not too much because I don't need I don't want to pay for additional and extra material. Something like this looks good to me. So what I want is I want to do something like this, and I want to make sure that it gets filled so that it remains a solid for now. And remember that like the rest of my object is hidden right now, but if I unhid it, now that I'm happy. Oh, one more thing is I want to make sure that whenever this gets cut, I want, yeah, like this here is where is the plane going to be drawn, and like if this is not set properly, you will end up with the bisection happening and like trying to find existing vertices to do the split, which is not what I want because it will make for like an ugly split. I want to like create a new vertices, and I want it to be like super sharp. Perfect. So that's good. Alt H and hide everything, and we're in a much better shape. We have our nose with nostrils that are actually like it's a solid, but it's yeah, that's as good as it gets. Now we need to empty out the shell. I could do it in Blender. There is a feature to do this, except that it doesn't get me the result. Like I know because I've tried several times, it doesn't give me accurate enough results. I can show you what I mean by that. So the idea is to use a modifier. So there are many modifiers available, but there's one that's called solidify, and essentially allowing me, and we actually already get a sense of what's going on. The idea, let's see what is the best way to see the results. I think right now you probably get a sense of what's going on. I want, and something's wrong with my, I think something's wrong with my scales because I think I messed up with the scales because it doesn't look like it's talking millimeters here. All right, so right now, let's just forget about this transformation and let's make sure that my scene, yeah, it's using metrics. So what did I miss? This guy is 90 millimeters. Yeah, that sounds fine. This guy is 40 millimeters. So what is wrong? Something's off because let me try again. If I were to do a shell that's just 1 millimeter, it should be much smaller. You agree, right? So I think I screwed up with the units somehow. So let's remove the transformation because that's not right. I'm confused. I hope I'm heading in the right direction. I'm really not sure. think I will just re-import the nose. Let me just roll back for a bit. I want to make sure that we roll back all the way until all right. Let's see, import FBX. I guess maybe I could use this. Let's see, nose. All right, one more try. Let's import the nose and import it that way. Is that better? So obviously, oops, sorry. Obviously, this is much smaller, but item, I need to select it. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to make any difference, right? Wow, so weird. But maybe it is. Let's see, solidify. So you get the idea, like it does what I want it to do. It creates a shell, but the units are just plain wrong. Okay, so I don't need those three. I just need to figure out what's wrong with nose. My main nose. That's my cat. All right. What is going on? Let me just save this guy. So this one is fan. Does it have to do with the fact that it's been scaled? What if I were to do this guy? Do I have the same problem? If I were to solidify this guy? No, for this one it works. No, it doesn't. Because this is way more than 1 millimeter. All right. Checking the units once more. Metric, millimeters. So weird. I'm actually going to cheat and have a look at another experiment that I've been working on. Let's see. Just want to make sure. What are the units for this one? Yeah, never mind. I think, you know what? I think we're good because at the end of the day, I'm not going to use Blender to do to create the shell. So what I wanted to do should with the unit work would be to use Solidify and have something like this, right? Like creating a shell, so that instead of being a solid, this is indeed more like an actual enclosure, and then I can work on making it so as I can open it, etc., etc. But again, that won't work because it has yeah, it's not accurate enough, and it won't give me a nice smooth shell. So what I'm going to do is take this object and export it so as I can use another tool called Mesh Mixer to create a shell. So nose to be hollowed out. Only the selection. There we go. And yeah, tool is called Mesh Mixer. So welcome to everyone who joined. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. All right, so that's Mesh Mixer. Import. We're going to import this object. We're going to make sure that we're good in terms of units. units, we're looking at the same dimensions that I was aiming for at 10.5 centimeters. This is actually going to cost me way more than what I originally thought, because that's a lot more plastic, but yeah, that's fine. So that's my object. And with Mesh Mixer, essentially it's a free tool from Autodesk for all things 3D printing, and so it already has the ability to allow me, well, not only to do some analysis of my mesh to make sure that it's I don't have areas that are hard to print, angles that are too sharp. So it's pretty nice in that regard. But what I want to use is the tool for creating an solid. Hey Pete, thanks for joining. Any questions that you have, please drop them in the chat. We're halfway through, I would like to say. I don't know for how long you've been watching, but we are now we have the 3D model of the nose, which is a solid, and we're going to turn it into more of a shell, right? And so it's actually really small on my screen, so I'm going to do my best. But yeah, we want a shell that is 2 millimeters thick. That's kind of the rule of thumb for 3D printing with plastic. At least 2 millimeters is the minimum for the shell to be like a real solid one. So. And there's different ways that the shell can be created. Essentially, it's actually not a trivial problem. I'm no expert in geometry and trigonometry and whatnot, but it's hard, right? It's what the software does is taking the outer shell and following all the normals of the different faces of my 3D model, trying to go 2 millimeters inside the solid, but there might be some weird clashes and intersections, which is why you want to tweak those. See, I'm gonna make it so that I have the very, and I think it's probably very small for you as well. Sorry about that. But yeah, see what I mean? If you don't try hard enough, the shell is going to be super crappy. So I want to, without necessarily knowing exactly what those two sliders mean, I want to play with them until at least by eye it looks good enough. All right. Computing, this is where my CPU starts spinning, usually my CPU fan. And this is where also maybe I realized that I didn't need as much accuracy, but let's see. That sounds good to me. Like, as you can see, it's not perfect, or at least looking at the render, it doesn't look like it's perfect, but I think it's good enough. I don't want to have a model that's too that has millions of faces if I don't really need to. The shell looks like it's an even thickness all around, and that's all I care about. And so we're going to apply all the settings and make this an actual change to my shape, and I'm going to export it so that I can re-import in Blender, and this time I'm going to replace my solid nose with a nose that's been hollowed out. And I'm going to have to double check all my units again. All right, see, there's probably way too many vertices, but however, yeah, that should be fine. All right, so this nose is going to be replaced with the one that we just created. There we go. Oops, I think I named it in a funny way, but that should be good. And this time around, it's a more expensive model to load because it has a way more complex geometry. But come on Blender, you can do it. In the meantime, people in in the chat. If you need help catching up, let me know. I'd be happy to explain what we're doing. So let's call this guy the original nose. And this one is the nose shell. All right, what do we have? We have the footprint for where our fan is going to be. Let me just paint the nose a different color just for the sake of clarity. All right, so we have the nose, we have where the fan should be, we have where the wire terminal should be, and now we need to see if we can actually like make sure that this guy, the sensor that will be in the shell, in the enclosure, well, make sure that we can actually put it in there. So we probably need to create some kind of lead for the box, and then we're going to need some form of device to hold the sensor in position. So let's start with like splitting the box, opening the box sort of, and make it two halves of a shell, right? So hiding the fan, hiding the sensor, hiding the USB sensor. I just want the shell. Like often with me and Blender, there's probably many ways to do this. The way I'm going to do it is using the bisect tool once again. And so for that, let's make sure that I know. All right, so see, we see the shell now. We see, and we see it even better now. So I want to split like right here. I want the right hand side to become my my cover, my lead, and I want this to become the rest of the nose. And somehow I will need to work on getting some attachments, like for putting some screws to eventually like make sure that I can close and hold the box in place. So let's split this guy in two. We're going to duplicate it. I want to duplicate it in place. Yeah, so that's going to be nose shell, and this one is going to be nose lid or nose cover. All right, and both I want to split like in the same place, except that for one I'm going to keep the right hand side, and for the other the left hand side. So let's start with like the main shell. Or whatever. Let's start with the cover. Again, I need to switch to edit mode and F3 bisect. And I want to cut like right here, approximately. So that's not right. Like apparently this is actually really slow, so it made a really weird cut. So let's make sure that the cut is actually going to be fully vertical. That's better. And there's only one side that I want to keep. So I said that this one is the cover. So if I'm gonna, so that's the one. I want to cut right. Probably. Let's see. The thing is that it's actually pretty slow, and believe me, my computer is actually really good, good one, and really powerful. But it's lots of geometries. So what am I looking at? I think I still have an issue with my scale. That sounds about right. Let's see. Let's zoom in as soon as I can. All right, that looks like the lead that I want. Maybe even more. Let's see, is that too much? Probably too much, actually. Yeah, I'm really confused. I'm pretty sure we are off by 1 order of magnitude in terms of units, but all right. So that's good. That's good. But one more thing. So I actually need to take note on of where I made the cut. And I also need to, oops. And I messed up because I forgot to make the, let's see, cancel again, please. It's slow. Right, yeah, I need to do it again. I missed one click, which is, all right, but it should be way faster this time around. Because, yeah, this is where I want the cut. This is where I want the cut. I want it to be vertical, and I forgot to check and to tick the box for Blender to fill the gaps. Like when it's gonna like cut, I want actually the faces that are part of the split. I want them to be filled. Like if, and I hope I won't do the same mistake. Yeah, like right now, it's actually like there's nothing here, which is actually really bad because it means that it's not even, strictly speaking, it's not even 3D printable. I want this. There we go. And that makes more sense. And now I need to do the exact same for the shell, except that I'm going to keep the other half. All right, hiding the cover, looking at, where is it? Where am I? Where was I working on the wrong one? I split both. Interesting. What did I do? It's fine. I think I will re-import the nose, and that'll do the same. Object. I'm not sure how I ended up doing that. All right. I'm getting there. Wow. Okay. Let's make sure that it's aligned. So this one I don't need anymore. This one, this is going to be my shawl enclosure. Okay. They are in the same spot. So hiding the cover so that I can switch back to edit mode, bisect. And I'm going to do the opposite. That is, make sure that I have something that's fully vertical. That's done exactly at the same offset as before, but this time I want to keep the other side. And I think I'm good. Like, I'm no 3D printing expert. If anyone in the chat is, I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts on whether I should be like removing just a tiny bit of material on either side, or maybe on both, because I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, because I virtually had like a super thin knife going through the two pieces. When I'm going to print them both, chances are there will be maybe 0.5 millimeters of tolerance for both parts that are going to be printed. And that means that maybe it's not going to be pixel perfect. And there's probably some tips and best practices there. I don't know them, so I'm going to pretend that this will do. Let's use my previous trick to make sure that we have nice colors for all our objects. So let's display everything again. So this guy, let's make it, I don't know, yellow, maybe. Yep. All right. Looking good. We need to now look at the inside and prepare the ground, like make sure that we can actually attach the sensor somehow. So what do I need to do? I need to select all those objects, move them No, I don't want you. Nope. I actually don't know how to select properly or to unselect. Let's see. Let's do it this way. Maybe nose enclosure. Whoops. No, no, no. There we go. That's better. Opening up the box so that I can know what's going on inside. What do I need to do there? I need to create some form of contraption to hold the growth sensor in place. I need to poke some holes in the nostrils too. Maybe we start with that. So the way I'm going to do this, and I'm actually going to hide all the stuff that I don't need once more. And I don't want the cover, and I don't want the weird terminal. There we go. So poking the holes, probably again many ways to do that. The way I'm going to do it is to create a tiny cylinder that I'm going to use to do a subtraction essentially of material and remove, make the difference between the enclosure and that cylinder so that it gets removed. If you don't know what I mean, let's just do it in real time. So let's make sure that it's, so my guess is that we're looking probably at something like 1 centimeter. Yeah, maybe even smaller. We don't need something that's super tall. Something looks off with my dimensions. I'm a bit skeptical. 6. This can be 6 millimeters if the rest is like, not sure what's going on. It's all right. Let's make sure that it's super smooth all around, right? That's the number of, see if there's only like 8, it's not really smooth. I want it to be really smooth. And if the dimensions are not perfect, we're going to adjust it later on. That's fine. So that's for my thing I'm going to use to poke some holes in the nostrils. Let's see. I want to move all the way here. Rotate it a bit. Nope, not that direction. This one. Need to move again. All right, getting closer to what I want. So I want to make sure that I really only poke a hole in only in the nostrils, right? I don't want to damage the rest. And I don't think I add. Not sure what's going on. All right. That would be good enough to me, actually. Let's see. Looking another direction. Where am I? Yeah, this way. This looks close to what I want. Really close. All right. Not sure that's big enough now, though. All right. Yep, that's what I want. Yep. All right. So that's one. We need 2. We actually need 2. So I'm gonna duplicate. So that's really not like how a professional CAD designer would do it, because whoops. My nostrils will probably be not like super aligned and symmetrical, but I can live with that. I don't know about you. Yeah, I'm not sure. This is not ideal though. Let's see. Let's look from behind. Yeah, let's at least make sure that they are somehow aligned. All right, from behind we have, yeah, this is not perfect, right? I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna start like remove this one and duplicate this one. All right. Yeah, that's better. This time I was only looking at one axis. All right. So from behind, I want to make sure that it doesn't go into. Yeah, there we go. All right. All right. That's good. That's good. That's good. Where are they? My two cylinders. Yes, I can join them into one. I can call them nostril cylinders. Like this is actually going to be something that's going to be used. I'm going to actually hide it. We don't need to see it. It's just going to be used as a modifier. We can perform Boolean operations. Essentially, be like, hey, you know what? I want to take this geometry and I want to do the union. That's not what I want to do, but you'll get the idea. I want to do the union with the nostril cylinders. Oh, and guess what? Now we actually have the cylinders like become part of the geometry. But again, that's not the union that I want. That's not the intersect either, because that gives us this, right? I want the difference. And then we have some holes. They look good, actually. I think I could have them probably like slightly larger. Yeah, actually, I think I want them slightly. Well, I should have done that before copy pasting though. How does it look from here? It doesn't look too ugly. Well, it looks what it looks like. There we go. So we're good with the nostrils. Now I need the contraption to hold the grove sensors in place. And actually, I've already prepared a little thingy, little object. It's yeah, it's a Blender file. It's here somewhere. Grove holder. There we go. Perfect. So wait, let's put it in place, and then I'm going to explain what it is. Oh, what did I do? I did link. Is this a good idea though? I guess it is, because it means, I think it means that I may damage the initial file if I'm not careful. I'm actually confused that it looks so big. Can I actually import it now? Make sure if I unlink, well, it disappeared. No, I want to append. I want to make sure that I have my own copy of the thingy. Yeah, that's better. At least now, if I do stupid stuff, I won't damage the original file. But why does it say link though? I don't understand. Delete. Import. No. Append. Collection. Fair enough. Let's proceed and let's see where this takes us. I want to move this guy. And why can't I move it? Something's wrong. All right, instance scene seems to do the trick, whatever that means. I will remove this grove that I had, because there is one that's coming with my contraption device. All right, so let's move this in place. Oh wow, again it prevents me to do it. What the? Right, I'm really confused. Cancel, undo, abort. Well, how many of those do I have? Oh, I have 2. I see. Ah, I understand. That's the, yeah. Super oh, here they are. They're not in a collection. This, I'm not sure what that is. It looks like just whatever it is. I'm gonna remove it. I don't know what that is. Delete. Make sure that those are in a collection. Grove holder, and we're back in business, I think. Grove holder. There we go. Can we? Again, the link thingy. What? This unlink. But then it disappears. Unlink, unlink, unlink. Wow. Right, I'm gonna see how the original file looks like, because maybe I messed up with it. So that's my original file. It looks good to me. Right, one more try. Grow older. I usually do append, so I'm really confused. Maybe I'm gonna take the objects. Maybe this time around. Yeah, that's better. If only it would let me move them. Yes, okay. It will let me move them. Yeah, okay. Oh, wow. Sometimes Blender is just too confusing to me. All right. So where do I want to put this thingy? Something like, well, I want to be close enough to the actual nostrils. What do we have? So one thing that may be confusing to you is that it looks weird, but there's actually the idea is that the blue and the red thing are meant to be subtracted from the white, which I think they already are. Yeah, I think they already are. So I actually need to just hide them, right? And that's what I want my thing, my contraption device to look like. I think this looks good enough. Maybe I should make it so that the sensor is even higher and closer to the nostrils, right? So for that, should be pretty simple. Let's see. I need to grab. So this guy. So this is the one. Yeah, this one I can make higher. Maybe that might be useful. Yeah, it's just here to create the hole in that direction, and the other one is the one that I need to also make first to make higher, but also put it like right here so that the sensor we also put like let's first see. Yeah, so that's my target height for the sensor. So for the sensor to be that height, then the red thingy need to stop like right here. Right, and that way when I will take the sensor and I will be like, it will go right here. So that's great. That's what I want. Is this pyramid thingy high enough to hold the sensor? Let's see. Let's make a guess. I think I want to add a bit more material. So doing this should be pretty straightforward. I'm going to hide this guy again. I can hide the growth sensor. I'm going to go in edit mode. I want to edit this guy. In edit mode and just take this, select this face. Come on. Object mode, edit mode, select. Oh, okay. So I selected the face, and I want to move it upwards. No, because I have some. No, that won't do. I need to just scale the cube, and that will be better. Where am I? Switching back to object mode. Yes, the height is, I keep forgetting, but I think that's Z. Yep. See, that's actually nice because my this right here, it doesn't like change position, right? So this maybe make it slightly wider. And I think that's good. One thing that I actually want to try is there's actually a lot of material right here. So maybe that's too much. So I want to give a quick, do a quick test of adding a new modifier, but I'm not sure how it's going to work out. But I want to make this hollow. And since the geometry is pretty simple, this actually should work. Yes, it does work. I want to make it like 2 millimeters thick. Make sure that yeah. Let's see. There's actually too much underneath. I need to make sure that I get rid of this. So for that, maybe just make this slightly higher. Where am I? Yep, that's behind, is it? Yeah, no, that's the front. That's behind. Yes, that's behind. All right. Now, I feel like it's too high. Let's see what the growth. No, that's good. I like it. I like it that way. And now is it? Yeah, it's hollow. But if it's hollow, then we actually need to poke some holes for whoever will be 3D printing for them to be able to remove the material. So we're gonna poke a hole in there. Oops, what did I do? Right, poking a hole, a new cylinder. It needs to be at least 3 millimeters usually, and that's, I think, what they advise. All right, rotate it on Y. Nope, not on Y, on X. No, I was good with Y. Shoot. Okay, tack. And yeah, this guy is just going to be here to go through, like right. And it needs to go right here, right? And I will actually make it bigger. Oh well, no, I make it I already made it like 6 millimeters because 3 millimeters was the radius, not the diameter. So I think we could, I need to double check on the 3D printing website. The website I'm going to use is likely going to be Sculpteo. And what do they advise for? At least 2 holes that are at least 5 millimeters in diameter. Right, that's good. That works for me. I'm actually happy if it's even bigger than that, because that means less material. Does it still look like it's all right? Let's remove the cylinder from. I need to add the modifier to remove. So I want to subtract this guy. Oops. This guy. All right. Does it still look like it's a solid shape? Yeah, I think it's great. Perfect. All right. What do we have now? Nose carver. So we need to fusion to add to the nose enclosure the cube that we've just built, right? So we need a new modifier to do a Boolean union of the cube. That's great. Getting there, right? So now, like, this is all the same part. What is missing is pretty much just one last thing, which is the screw holes. And I want to do something here. I'm going to create a new file for that. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it, I already had one, but I screwed it up. So I'm going to create a new one. Yes. I want to keep the cube. Essentially what I want is add in the corners of my nose. Actually, should probably open the two in parallel. I want to add like right here, and at the top, what's called net cages, so that I can have a net secured and put like within the little plastic hole, and then yeah, this is where what I'm going to use to actually screw and close my close the box. And of course, I will need to prepare some screw holes right here, because it's better to have them in like right during 3D printing rather than to have to poke the holes later. All right, so so the net cage, for that I'm actually going to use an add-on from Blender that's called crap. How is it called again? I forgot. How does one call a nut in English? Like there's no problem. All right, just give me a sec. Blender. It's called the Bolt Factory. The Bolt Factory. So I've already installed the add-on, and what I want to do is create a bolt. Like given the size of the box, I think we're looking at an M3 M3 nut and M3 bolt. So I want to create one, right? And I want to use that to guide me to create my nut cage. So yeah, first let's make sure that the units in this new scene are properly set up. millimeters. Yeah, that's better. So let's make sure we have a long, really long shank, like really. Why are my units wrong again? Because I didn't validate. Right. Bolt. M3. Yep. M3. Very long shank. And this is essentially what I want to use to prepare my nut cage. My nut cage will be pretty much a cube, right? A cube that will need to be big enough so that the net can be like secured in it. So let's just use the scale tool and go faster. So I think we might be looking at a cage this size-ish. Yeah, well, that's way too big. And this is where you can tell that I'm not a professional CAD designer, because this is a lot of trial and error here, but this is still pretty quick. Yeah, I think that's kind of like what I'm looking at. So I think like this is the piece of plastic that I want to attach in each corner of my enclosure, right? So this is again going to be a subtraction. You're familiar with it by now. Boolean subtract the bolt. Right, this is kind of how it needs to look like, except that if I do it that way, I don't have enough clearance to actually put the net and like secure the net in its cage. And same for the hole. It needs to be way larger for it to be large enough for my screw and my bolt to go through. So for that, let's actually bolt clearance hole, I think it's called. Yeah, I think that's how it's called. What do I want to use? I don't think I want to use a calculator. I think I want to use directly. Does that work? M3. Yeah. So for an M3 nut or screw, which is what we're looking at, you would look at drilling a hole which is 2.5 if what you're looking at is like actually having the screw and like being automatically sort of secured and fit, just barely fit in the hole, just like you would like screw the in a wall or something. But in my case, I want to have like enough room for the my piece of metal to go freely, but not. I don't want it to be too large. So because if it is, then the net just won't stay in place, right? So I think we're looking at 3.4. So I'm actually going to change the parameters for my bolt, and I need to recreate one. This is where either I miss something in the UI or whatever, but I'm going to recreate it. That's fine. I can leave with that. I'm going to create a bolt, except that this time around, I want to make sure that I'm looking at, oops, and did I already commit the changes? I shouldn't have moved it, I guess. Crap. Right, delete both and try again. F3, add bolt. So we said we are looking at 334, but my scales are wrong, are they? Again and again. Unit scale. Crap. What is going on? Millimeters. All right, I think we're good this time around. Bolt. The shank should be 3.4 millimeters. The length, yeah, I want plenty of length, but that'll do. If I need more, I'll add more. And I don't really want an actual, like, let's see. if I can show you. Yeah, I don't actually need that piece. So if I do this, it, oops, 3.4, 3.4, it should actually disappear, right? And actually I should also prepare and leave some room around the actual nuts. So I think I read that point, is that 0.05? Yeah, 0.05 millimeters all around should be enough. And I feel like, I'm not sure actually. Yeah, I feel like making the nut like just a tiny bit bigger. If it is too big, that's fine. I'll just glue the nut within the hole. If it's not big enough, well, then I'll be in trouble. But yeah, I think that's what I'm looking at. I'm gonna make the yeah, I think that's good. All right. Let's create the subtraction again. All right. Let's move this guy down there. All right. Let's make sure that we move it. Yeah, we move it down. Yeah, that's good. We actually want to make sure that the net is properly secured. But now the problem that you can imagine is that there's actually no hole in here. So for that, we're going to make sure that we take, we're going to go back, go in edit mode for the bolt, select the top of the bolt and make sure that it's actually like really high, right? Just make sure that it pokes a hole in the cube, which it now does. And I think that's how I want my thingy to look like. It might not be, it might not have enough material. I'm gonna make it slightly larger. Oops, I don't want to move, I want to scale. Just, or maybe, yeah, just a bit. And I don't want it to be too thick either. I want it to be just thick enough so that we have the screw. Let me see how I can. This is just not ideal, my way of doing things. It really isn't. Okay, okay. So I think we have the cage. I was thinking that maybe I was gonna, like, is this gonna be solid enough? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it'll do. Yes. All right. Let's just do it. Going back to the main nose. All right. And we're going to import our thingy. We're going to append the net cage. All right. So that's the net cage. Where has it gone? Net cage. Is this it? Yes, it's here. All right. So I need to rotate it. To rotate both the net cage. Where are they? Where are they? All right. Nope. Not this direction. This direction. 90 degrees. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. 90 degrees. Let's put it in place. Let's use the wireframe view to see what we're doing. So it needs to be like somewhere around here, right? And stuck into the plastic. Oopsie. Like something like that. Like ideally, I guess I would, what direction is it? Right, I think that should do. And looking at the back, where is it? It's here. So we're really close to having finished, I think. Having finished the model. Yeah, I think something like that. And then now I need 4 copies, right? So for that, I'm going to use, there's a modifier that will allow me to do that. So first, I think I want to make just one object. So let's make sure that there is a different material for the bolt and for the cube, because later on it'll allow me to split the objects. All right, so now I can safely join. Right, so now it's just one object, and this is net cage bottom left, whatever. But it's going to be more than just net cage bottom left, because I'm going to use a modifier to do an array, which basically means that I want to have one more, right? It's going to be here. It's going to be, and so I should be doing this like way more accurately, but yeah, that'll do. All right, so that's, oops. That's one, and now we need to do the same, basically to have 2 more at the top. Probably many ways to do that. I think the way I'm going to do it is that I'm going to apply the transformation. Well, actually, I can probably add one more. Let's see what happens if I do another array transformation, and this time I look at Y. Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what I need. And that's the right way to do it. All right. Again, making kind of like just eyeballing the position. All right. And so this time around, I'm actually going to call it net cages, because it's all the net cages, right? This is great. This is really great. What else? I need to make sure that I make a union to attach the net cages to the thingy, and I need to use those bolts to poke holes in the cover, right? They're slightly too short, but I'll figure it out. All right. So first, let's make sure that the nose, the cages get joined with the enclosure. So I need to separate the material, and this is where I may end up doing. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to apply all the changes. Why is modifier disabled? Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, let's apply the changes. Now let's separate the geometry to retrieve my my two things. Like those are the bolts, and those are the net cages. Great. Let's make sure that the bolts actually act as like we do this. So if we look here, let's do this. Yeah, if we look here, do we have holes? I do hope so. I guess we should just look at the wireframe and we'll have our answer. Didn't. I'm in the wrong view. That's why. Need to be in object mode. So we are. Yeah, we shouldn't be on the bolts. This is wrong. We should be on the net cage, adding a Boolean difference with the bolts. Yes, yes. All right. And so yeah, we have holes in all our bolt cages. Now we need to look at the cover. Let's bring it. Let's bring everything. What else did we have? We had the fan, all things fan. So the cover, the terminal, all those guys. Let's bring them just slightly closer so that I can be like, hey, I want to create a hole in the cover by means of removing the material that corresponds to, where are they? I can select it from here. How are they called again? Nope, that's not what I want. They're called bolt, I think, right? Yeah, bolts. There we go. We have our holes in the cover, well aligned. We need the net cages to be added, and let's actually hide them because now they're going to come in as a union. Net cages, where are you? And it's not going to be a difference. It's going to be a union. All right, I think we're getting close. What do you think, random viewer in the chat? Let me know if you have questions or ideas on things that we may be missing. Did I poke the holes for the fan? I don't think I did just yet. So the cover I also need. So that's the screw holes. I need to add the main fan hole by removing, how did I call it? Yeah, this guy. I'm actually going to hide no, that's, yeah, whatever. And I need to add one more to remove the fan screws. Yeah, no, for those I drilled the hole exactly as specced by the datasheet. So yeah, the only thing I could be doing is if we look back at the datasheet for where is it? Nope. Give me one sec. Yeah, I could look at squaring out the hole, because I actually I made the hole 24.3 in diameter, but I guess they advise to have something in that particular shape. Can I easily change that? I guess I could. Do I want to? Probably not. Yeah, no, you know what? I think this is good. One thing that I would like to add is behind the YO terminal, there is this expansion port, and there's actually also two mounting holes. But for those, I don't really know where they're actually located. So I'm not sure what's the best thing to do there. I feel like I need a hole somehow, at least for this cable to go through. So I don't know where to put it. It's easy, but I just need to decide where I want to put it. But otherwise, I think the rest of the design is mostly finished. I think it is finished. I can actually try and maybe I have an extension that allows me to validate that the geometry is something that can be easily printed. Checking. I think the enclosure is actually pretty complex, so it takes a while. It has some edges that are not, strictly speaking, that are not printable. I would like to be curious to know whether it's on the cover. Let's see. Check. Hopefully it checks only the selection though, right? Maybe it doesn't, if that's not the case. We should see, it should be much faster. Yeah, I guess it's checking on more than just the selected geometry. Yeah, so we're probably good anyways. So yeah, let's actually export the model and go in the 3D printing tool. And after that, I think I'll probably end the stream, but I would also, before, I would like to make sure that no one has questions, or please share your thoughts in the chat. So I'm going to select those two objects. Yeah, I think that's all I need. And I'm going to export them as, yeah, let's try with the obj format first. If it doesn't work, we'll use a different technique. We want to make sure that before the export, the modifiers are being applied. Otherwise, all the fancy Boolean operations that we've done, etc., they won't be applied and that won't work. But apart from that, we're good. Nuz ready to print. And we should have, so yeah, let's see. Let's actually check what happens when I open it in a 3D viewer. Oh, okay. That's strange. I think it's because the export was probably not finished. Yes, that's why. The file is 23 megs, by the way, so it's not small. Where is it? Is it loading? Hoping so. I'll use a different tool if this one doesn't manage. Yeah, I'm gonna use it. Well, you know what? The export wasn't finished still. We are now up 24.8 megs. One more try. Yeah, I think this time it's actually thinking. Okay. Oh, I exported more than the selection. I forgot to tick the box. So yeah, I have only 2 selected, but I only want to export those 2. Export option, selection only, ready to print option. Strictly speaking, I don't need to export the materials, but whatever. Let's wait for the export to finish. Yeah, 9 megs, that's much better. No, that still wasn't finished. Wow, it's confusing. Yeah, Blender is still thinking. Yeah, all right. Well, still 42 megs at the end of the day, but this should be only my model now. I hope. Hey, that's cool. Oh, we see the issues with the geometry now. All right, so this would seem to, I think we need to, all right, one thing that I will do is save this and make a copy. Like I will call it flattened. Like it's as if in Photoshop, you know, you would have all your layers and you apply them and make this kind of destructive modification where all your filters, etc., get applied. I think I may need to do that for the for everything to look great. Yeah, let's see. Let's actually see how the wireframe looks like for here. Yeah, don't see any bugs. It's just really a matter of making sure that all the so both for the cover and for the enclosure, making sure right. And I will actually I think I will remove everything else. Everything else, just to have a very clean file. Well, and part of it is me not being super familiar with Blender, obviously, but that doesn't sound like a terrible idea, right? Delete. I will run the checks again. Maybe now it will have a better result. Yeah, my model is super complex at the end of the day. Wow, why is it taking longer than before? None. Okay, so I don't have non-manifold edges. I have some bad contiguous edges, which I'm not sure what that means, but I feel like I can live with it. Save, export as obj. I should actually export that STL maybe, but let's see. Nose ready to print. All right. Yeah, I think I probably made a too complex shape with my when I created the shell for the nose. It's probably overly complex. But let's see. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. I'm gonna use a different tool if that one doesn't want to. I'm gonna open in. No, it's fine. It opened. Yeah, it's actually better. No, it's not. Ah, shoot. So there is something, there might be something wrong with the model, but let's try in the actual printing tool. Let's import the model. It's going to take a little while because it's 42 megs. Okay, fingers crossed. And if that works, or at least if the preview is fine, I think that'll be the end of the stream. We'll have achieved what I wanted to, at least from yeah, like showing you how to proceed, and like giving you a sense of the tools you can use, and just basically just share my thought process with you. So but it detected that there are two parts. That sounds about right. If yeah, do I want to print them in one single run? Nope. I'm happy with them being completely separated. And let's see. Uh, I think this is looking good. So this is the cover. It's only 2.6 millimeters in tall. That sounds really thin. 2.6. Fair enough. I guess that'll do. Yeah, whatever. So that's the cover. It's going to cost me 20 euros, and the nose, and I'm going to like use the advanced settings to see, well, one, if I can get it cheaper. Yes, I can. That's what I thought. Still expensive, but I can live with that. And yeah, I want to use the tools from Sculpteo to yeah, there is something wrong with some of my edges. I need to check what's going on with them. But yeah, like with this tool, actually, you can like look at the yeah, this looks mostly okay, except for those guys here. But yeah, 64 euros. I think I'm actually gonna go for, yeah, I wanted to ship reasonably early, so either I will go for this option, which is shipping on June the 10th, or oh wait, actually I think they have with the material guide. Where is it? They have maybe it's here. Yeah, with this guy you can get a sense of how much and when you can get your stuff. Yeah, it's not cheap. So it's either going to be 87 euros and I get this on June the 10th, or I go for SLS plastic. Hey, thanks for the sub. I don't know, I missed the notification. Thanks to whoever that was. If you have questions on what we're doing, please let me know. We're gonna be done with the stream shortly. So yeah, 90 euros for this one, shipping on the 11th. It's actually super expensive, right? Maybe I will just use a regular 3D printer, but the thing is that the some of the geometries that I'm using, like with the nose and the hang of the nose, it would actually be difficult to print on a regular 3D printer. Yeah. All right. Let's spend 2 more minutes trying to fix the issue, maybe with the geometries in Blender. I think I will go back to my original, to this one. I'm curious to see what's just followed. I missed it, and I'm lost with my browser windows now. Sorry about that. But thanks. All right. So I think the issue was with no, not the grow older, the net cage. It has to do with the net cage. We will be hiding the net cage modification for the time being. Yes, just so we can check if they are properly positioned. It's hard to see. What could be the problem on the side? Might be. No, they should be fine, quite frankly. So one thing I'm going to try is, let's go back to this one. And since it doesn't have non-manifold edges, we're going to export in STL. And this might just do the trick. STL being a format that's more meant for 3D printing. And so by sort of by construction, it might actually be able to just like avoid the issues with that we have. And now I understand why I said thanks for the sub. It's my cat. We pressed the wrong button and we switched to the wrong thingy. Anyhow, we're gonna end the stream soon. Just trying one more time the STL file. Export as STL. So this time around it's 23 megs. Does it look decent in Mesh Mixer? Yes, I think this time. Yeah, we still have issues. Or do we? Is this just a rendering issue or is this more? I'm really confused. What are the tools here to change the renderer? I'm gonna open it with the 3D viewer. Let's see how many artifacts we have. Ah, I think I would like to say we're good. Let's import once more in Sculpteo, upload a file. Yep, that's the one. All right, while this uploads, thanks for joining. I think that was a great exercise. Pretty sad to see the chat remained empty, but yeah, that was really fun. Good 2 hours for me spent on making sure that I was actually going to finish the project in the next few minutes. I will probably be ordering the parts, and stay tuned, because as soon as I receive them, we're going to actually assemble the nose, and I'm going to shed more light on what's actually the software I built, like what is actually powering the nose in terms of the artificial intelligence and so on. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And in terms of model, let's see if this looks better now. I hope it does. It's, wow, it's super long. The price should be pretty similar, I would hope. Yes. And do the parts look good? Let's look actually on this one. The scale is definitely good, and yeah, no, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's perfect. That's smooth, and you can actually see that the preview even gives you a sense of the grain that you will get from the 3D printing, which I find pretty awesome. Let's look quickly at the other part, and yep, that's the one. By the way, you can actually print out of metal if you want. Like, if you have, let's see, if you have, oh, we exceed the maximum size. That's too bad. And how about this guy? If you have 4,000 euros to spend, you can get a shiny nose. Oh, and they want to talk to us. They're like, whoops, that can be true. I think this time around the model is fine. Yeah, I can see any issues. All right. I'm going to put the final touches, and I'm going to order it. What are we missing? I think we're missing a couple, drilling a couple holes in the cover, so that when we have the, because we will have some cables that will need to go through, the cables for the fan, the cables for the gas sensor. So we need that, and I'll try and add the drill holes for the Wio terminal, except that I don't know if, yeah, you probably can see them. Yeah, like the goldish thingy. I need to add some holes there, because that'll make for like a super well adjusted well, object and device. Drilling the hole for the expansion board, I think, is something that I want to do as well. And there's actually some magnets I've heard in the device, so you could like, strictly speaking, I could just glue some metallic, so, yeah, like a piece of metal at the back of the cover, and then that could be an option. Maybe I will also plan on that. I don't know. Anyhow, that was fun. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll do this again. Certainly, I'll be better maybe at the promotion, better at the production too. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. If you're watching the recording, hit me up on Twitter. Here. Wow, that's tough. Here, hit me up on Twitter with questions, and we'll be back soon. Thanks.